Good afternoon, guys. And during today's video, I would like to make a brief summary of everything we've been studying so far in Spanish 111 with me, Professor Octavio. Okay. First of all, I would like you guys to remember what we studied during our first couple of lessons, okay, which were the vowels and the pronunciation of some vowels, okay. And just to start, let me remind you guys the pronunciation. We have the first vowel. It's a, a. A is not a, but a. Therefore, these words are read pana, lana, cana. Okay? Very well done. Now, the next one is the letter E. 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 This is not E, okay, but E instead. Therefore, these words are read nene, tren, mes. E. Then we have the vowel E. 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 This is not I, but E. So we have mili, pili, nini, E. Then we have the vowel O. 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 This is not O, but O. As we can see, in the next words are read tono, mono, olor. All right? Finally, our last vowel is the vowel U. 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 This is not U, but U. Therefore, here we have uku, muy, y sus. U. All right? Perfect. Now, let's start with the consonants. First of all, guys, remember that B and V have the same sound in Spanish, as we can see, and they are both pronounced like B. Here we have vaca and barco. All right? Previously, there used to be a difference in between these two consonants, but eventually it just wore enough. So yeah, that's it. Then we have the consonant C, okay, which is a special case. Basically, because we find that letter C has two different sounds, okay? C can be like K, okay, or S. It's gonna behave as a K phoneme whenever it's followed by the next vowels, A, O, or U. So we have Ka, Ko, Ku, as seen in the words capa, cola, and cuckoo. Finally, we have that the letter C can also behave as the letter S, okay, whenever it's followed by the vowel E or E, as seen in the words celebridad and cine. Okay, this is something quite important for you guys to remember, and it's basically just like in English, all right? Perfect. Another consonant which is worth mentioning is the letter G, which also is going to behave in two different ways, okay, depending on the vowel that comes afterwards, okay? G can be a soft G or a hard G, okay? It's going to behave as a soft G whenever it's followed by vowel A, by vowel O, and by vowel U. This is going to be read ga, go, gu, as seen in the words gato, gota, and gusto. Also, let's remind that we have the hard G, okay? And it's gonna behave in this way whenever it's followed by the vowels E or E. This is gonna be read he and he. This is important. This is not J nor G. This is he. He. All right? Practice this sound a bit. These words are gonna be read gel and ginebra. All right? Nice. Finally, we also have the letter J, which is similar to H in English, okay? So this is gonna be read as jamón, jerez, jirafa, ojo, fuego. All right? Jamón, jerez, jirafa, ojo, fuego. Then H is silent in Spanish. Whenever you see a letter H, you might as well just ignore it, okay? With then is hago, hecho, hice, hondo, and hundir. This is a bit tricky, okay? Because I decided to include the only case in which H is not silent, whenever it is preceded by the letter C, all right? This is gonna be read as ch, just like in English. Think of the word chair, okay? It's the same, hecho. This is the sound it's gonna produce. So basically H is silent unless it is preceded by letter C, in which it's gonna make the same sound it produces in English, or it represents in English, of ch, ch. Then this is going to be quite interesting. Basically, the double L sounds in, or well, represents different sounds depending on the dialect we're speaking. In this case, I decided to go for the Argentinian pronunciation, okay, because I happen to think is the easiest one out there, okay? So in our lessons, double L is going to sound like an S followed by an H in English. This is going to be read chamar, lleno, allí, llorar, lluvia, okay? If you're ever talking to people who are, for instance, from Mexico or Spain, you'll notice that they will pronounce it as llamar, lleno, allí, llorar, and lluvia. Even they can pronounce it as llamar, lleno, allí, llorar, lluvia. If you do any of these sounds during our test, you'll be just fine, okay? Because there isn't like a standardization for this sound, and you can do the one you find the easiest, okay? There is not a problem. Here we have the only letter which is not present in the English alphabet, okay? Which is the letter ñ, which sounds like N followed by J. Let me show you the examples. Ñandú, ñ, niñito, coño, and cañuela. All right? Very well done. Now, the letter Q sounds like K, and it only has two variants, que and ki. This is very important, okay? In these cases, just because of a convention, we need to write down a U in between the Q and the E, or the Q and the I, all right? Queso, quién, all right? Therefore, in this case, you also need to remind that the U is silent. The letter U in this case is completely silent. Silent, yeah. And you should ignore it, okay? Just remember that letter Q sounds like K, okay? And it only has two variants, Q-U-E and Q-U-I, que and ki, all right? Fine. Then we have the letter R, okay, which is known to be one of the most difficult sounds in the Spanish language. However, it's not that difficult. First of all, we need to understand there are two variants of, for letter R, okay? We have an R which we don't roll, okay? And we have an R that we do roll, okay? Check it out. The R's we don't roll, this softer R sound, is found in between two vowels, okay? This is read ara, ere, iri, oro, and uru, all right? However, we also have this stronger R, which is found whenever the R is at the beginning of a word, okay? Or whenever we have two R's together. Two R's together. This is read then ran, ren, rin, ron, run. And this is read arra, erre, irri, orro, urru. All right? This is it. Very well done. If you are struggling to produce the sound of the hard R, okay, don't worry, okay? It's actually quite difficult, but the best advice I can give you is to practice putting your tongue behind your front teeth, okay? And just blow some air there and make your tongue vibrate, okay? Ra, re, ri, ro, ru. However, if you can still not produce it, don't worry, it does take time, okay? It's not impossible, it does take time, however. And if you are not able to roll the R's, is not really a big issue, to be honest with you guys. Most of us will be able to understand you. Remember, I don't want you guys to speak a perfect Spanish. I just want you guys to speak enough for you guys to be understood by other people. That's it. Now, consonant T is less explosive in Spanish and is more implosive. This is not taco, but taco instead. Tengo, tiene, tono, tus. Okay? Not taco, tengo, tiene, tono, tus. It's taco, tengo, tiene, tono, tus. Now, Y will also sound like an SH, all right? This will be read as ya, yendo, ying, yo, and yugo. And finally, the letter C sounds like an S, but a bit, one may say, well, it depends on the variant, of course, and the dialect. However, it will sound like like an S. Maybe if you're in Spain, you'll find it to be a bit more soft. In Spain, this will be read as Zara, Zen, Think, Rozo, Cazuela. However, in Latin America, this will be read as Sara, Zen, Zinc, Rosso, Cazuela. All right, you can use the variant you feel the most comfortable in. Okay, that's it. This is it with the pronunciation of Spanish. Let's check out the cognates. Okay. Now, guys, you may also remember that during our second lesson we studied the cognates in between Spanish and English. If you don't remember what a cognate is, it's actually quite a simple concept. Cognates are words which are found in both languages, or in two languages at least, which are written or pronounced in a similar way. Okay, this doesn't necessarily mean that both these words mean the same. Okay, they can mean the same or they cannot. That's that depends on the word. All right. However, whenever cognates do not mean the same, those are called false cognates or fake friends. Okay. However, by learning cognates or by learning the principles which basically by learning the principles of the creation of cognates or the recognition of cognates, you can basically learn a lot of vocabulary by just reading, by just understanding how words are related in this language. So you guys need to understand that usually English words finishing tion will finish in sion in Spanish. Let's read some examples. Abstraction in Spanish is abstracción. Action in Spanish is acción. Accusation in Spanish is acusación. Adaptation in Spanish is adaptación. Adoption in Spanish is adopción. Admiration in Spanish is admiración. Well, now, usually, English words finishing ary will finish in ario in Spanish. Let's see some examples. Adversary in English will be read as adversario. Anniversary in English in Spanish will be aniversario. Arbitrary in English in Spanish will be arbitrario. Commentary in English will be read in Spanish as comentario. Finally, complementary in English in Spanish will be complementario. Nice. Plus, English words finished in IC will finish in ICO in Spanish. Let's check it out. Academic will be read as académico. Acrobatic in Spanish is acrobático. Alcoholic in Spanish is alcohólico. Allergic in Spanish is alérgico. Arithmetic in Spanish is aritmética. Now, usually English words that finish in IOUS will finish in ioso in Spanish. Let's check it out. Contagious in Spanish is contagioso. Curious in Spanish is curioso. Delicious in Spanish is delicioso. Famous in Spanish is famoso. And furious in Spanish is furioso. Now, usually English words finish in act will finish in acto in Spanish. Let's check it out. Abstract in Spanish is abstracto. Act in Spanish will be acto. Artifact in Spanish will be artefacto. Compact in Spanish will be compacto. Conflict in Spanish will be conflicto. Now, usually English words finishing ly will finish in mente in Spanish. Check it out. In English, rapidly. In Spanish, rápidamente. In English, easily. In Spanish, fácilmente. In English, clearly. In Spanish, claramente. In English, happily. In Spanish, felizmente. In English, commonly. In Spanish, comúnmente. Finally, English words that finish in ire, in Spanish will finish in idad. Check it out. Reality, realidad. Quality, calidad. Personality, personalidad. Flexibility, flexibilidad. Equality, igualdad. Very well done, guys. You'll have this for you guys to study by yourselves, and we'll carry on with our next topic. Finally, the last concept we've been studying lately, actually we studied it a couple of hours ago, is the concept of gender and number. All right, the concept of gender and number is actually quite a complex one, basically because of gender. All right, number is also present in English. Whenever we talk about now, let's see what I mean when I'm talking about grammatical gender. Okay, gender when it comes to grammar only applies to nouns, determiners, and adjectives. If you don't know what a determiner is just yet, don't worry. This will be the topic we'll be studying during our next couple of lessons. So basically, just nouns, determiners, and adjectives have a gender. Gender in Spanish is actually a binary concept. A word is either masculine or feminine. Other languages, such as Swedish, Norwegian, and other Germanic and Uralic languages, have also incorporate a neutral gender, which doesn't exist in Spanish. In Spanish, the concept of gender, once again, is completely and absolutely binary. Plus, it's also completely arbitrary, as you may remember of the of the examples I told you during our lessons. In Spanish, the word for Christmas, which is Navidad, is feminine. Now, my question is there something inherently feminine when it comes to Christmas? Not really, right? Gender is just a mere convention and agreement between speakers. All right. Now, how do we know the gender? We can start by talking about the A and O tendency. Words which finish in A tend to be feminine, while words which finish in O tend to be masculine. Is this a golden rule? Not a chance. Under any circumstance, this is a golden rule. There are so many exceptions to this tendency that is basically useless. However, it will be stupid to think that this is not a tendency that is sometimes true. All right. So this is a way for you to try to guess the gender of a word. Plus, there are some words which have an inherent gender, okay? An inherent gender. What do I mean by this? There are words such as padre, which is father, madre, which is mother, actor, which is actor, actriz, which is actress, gallo, which is rooster, and gallina, which is hen, of course, and etc., which have an inherent gender. With this, I mean that padre will, of course, be masculine. The same way madre will be, of course, feminine. The same way actor will be, of course, masculine. And actriz will be, of course, feminine. Okay? This is actually quite helpful. All right? And finally, the only foolproof strategy for you guys to understand gender and number is to pay attention to the articles. Okay? What's an article? An article is a particle, a word we add before a noun in any language. Okay? In any language, which of course has it. In English, there is just one definitive article, which is the. The book, the car, the flower, the TV, the house, and so forth. Okay? In Spanish, there are 4 articles: el, la, los, and las. Let's learn them, all right? So, the articles we have. El is used for words that are masculine and singular, okay? We'll use the article el before words that are masculine and singular. Therefore, if we ever see a word which before it has the word el, the particle el, we'll know for sure this word is masculine and singular. For instance, we have el padre and el toro, the father and the bull. Now, la is used for words which are feminine and singular, okay? We have la madre and la vaca, the mother, the cow. Whenever we see a word which is preceded by la, we know that word is going to be feminine and singular. The same with el, okay? The only difference is that whenever a word is preceded by el, it's of course masculine and singular. Now, we also have los, which is used for words that are masculine and plural. For instance, los padres and los toros. In this case, we have los padres, okay, and los toros. As you can see, we have added an extra S at the end of padre and an extra S at the end of toro. Just like in English, okay, in order to make a word plural in Spanish, we often add an S, okay, or an if the word finishes in a consonant, or es if the word finishes in a no. Once again, in order to make nouns plural in Spanish, if the noun finishes on a vowel, as in these cases, padre, toro, we just add an S. Padres, toros. However, if the word happens to finish in a consonant, we will add an E and then an S, okay? As we'll see in some further examples. As we can see right here, these words are preceded by the article los, which only means these words are masculine and plural. Once again, we can see they are plural because we add an S at the end of them, all right? Now, las is the same but for feminine and plural articles. We have las madres and las vacas. Once again, we've added an S at the end of each word in order to make them plural, okay? And therefore, we have to change the article as well because these words are still feminine but are not singular anymore. We need to add word las in order to make them plural. So, the articles in Spanish, just as a brief summary, are el, la, los, and las. As you can see, these are all translatable as the bull, the cow, the bulls, and the cows. All right, let's check it out. This is one of the most important concepts on the Spanish language, basically because it's present across all this language. And it means that if a noun is, for instance, masculine and singular, it can only be modified by masculine and singular determiners and adjectives. Let me show you what I mean. Check it out. We have here el toro bueno, the good bull, basically. In this case, we know toro is masculine and singular because we've been studying it, okay? So it needs to start with article el, plus bueno will finish in o. Now check this out. If we want to say the good cow instead, as vaca is feminine, first of all, we need to change the article, okay? We need to change it to the feminine and singular article. And afterwards, we have to change bueno to buena, all right? We change the last letter of the adjective in order to make it feminine. This needs to happen, okay? As I've said previously, the concept of coincidence means that if a word has a gender and a number, okay, any other word which modifies it, determines it, individualizes it, and whatever, will have to be also feminine and singular. Now, check it out. We have los toros buenos. Basically, we knew the word toro was masculine, but now it's not only masculine, it's also plural, okay? We're talking about more than one bull. So, in this case, we have los toros buenos, all right? Los toros buenos. That's it. Basically, once again, we need to change bueno into buenos because, well, toros is masculine and plural. So the adjective needs to be masculine and plural as well, just as the article is also masculine and plural. Finally, we have the same example with las vacas buenas, the good cows. Once again, vacas is feminine and plural, right? So it is individualized by the feminine and plural article. And finally, the adjective is also changes to become feminine and plural. Okay, we can see that because it has an A and then an S. Okay, this is something which will be all across the Spanish language and we'll be practicing extensively during our next couple of lessons. Now, this is the topic we'll start during our next lesson on Wednesday. So I hope you guys have found this video to be actually quite clarifying. And if you have any doubts, please let me know. And we'll be and you guys will be receiving not only this video but also the links for downloading all the information we've been using during the last couple of lessons. Okay. I hope you guys like this video and see you on Wednesday. Bye.